Trauma has many faces. It can stem from childhood, broken relationships, loss, illness, or moments that change everything. For each person, trauma leaves an imprint, shaping how they see themselves and the world. In turning your trauma into your testimony, the healing journey, we bring you real stories of individuals who have confronted their pain and are finding a way forward. Each episode delves into a unique journey, a path through sorrow, strength, and self discovery. Their testimonies remind us that while trauma may change us, healing can help us redefine who we are. These are their stories, these are their healing journeys. Now, have you ever experienced any form of trauma, whether that's childhood abuse, domestic violence, loss, or even cultural and intergenerational pain? As you know, this is a safe space for you to share your story, connect with others, and find the support that you need. Join us as we build a community of healing and understanding where your journey is honored and your voice truly matters. Now, this episode and other episodes may contain discussions of sensitive and potentially triggering topics, including various forms of trauma such as abuse, loss of loved ones, and even violence. Listener discretion is advised. Please prioritize your mental and emotional well being. And if you find any part of this content to be distressing, cut it off. But better yet, seek support. Now, today we are joined by Charmaine Smith, who has embarked on a powerful journey of healing after the loss of her boyfriend. Charmaine has chosen to navigate her grief and intention with intention, finding ways to honor his memory while embracing the life she's building in his absence. From journaling to leaning on faith and setting intentional boundaries, she's creating a life that centers her peace and helps uplift others. Charmaine's story reminds us that grieving is a deeply personal process, and finding one's way through it can be a testament to your strength and self love. Let's welcome Charmaine and thank her for sharing her story with us. Hello, Charmaine.
Hello.
Okay, so we're going to jump right in, and I'm just going to ask you to share your story with us. Tell us about what you've been through, what you've overcome, and where you are right now in life.
Okay, so some of the things that I've been through, I would say in the past year, August of last year, my mom had a brain aneurysm and she had to have brain surgery. So I personally was just running and back and forth, and this all started right before school started. And so, just constantly on the go, stopped taking care of myself. I had a regimen in place because I do have lupus, and I'm doing a lot of natural things. And I honestly I just stopped taking care of me. I was more focused on her. I was more focused on making sure the kids got to school, make sure they hit their practices and everything. So I did that for a few months. She came home in November, and I met an amazing guy named Craig in November, and he kind of gave me some peace in some places where because I was kind of overwhelmed with a lot of different things. And in December, I ended up going to the hospital. Um, I was having some pains in my side, and I rested because I was trying to get the room ready for my mom. Um, that Saturday morning, I woke up, I couldn't breathe. I was hurting. I was in tears. I was in so much pain, and I didn't understand what it was. And my daughter was like, "Mom, you need to go to the hospital." I was like, "Well, let me rest. Just let me rest for a little bit." I rested, and it got worse. And so I drove myself to the emergency room. They did all the tests because they thought I might be having a stroke or a heart attack or something like that. And that stuff came back fine. But when they took the x-ray, that's when they found the blood clot in my lung. And so I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. Just when I say going through, I was going through the blood clot in my right lung. I had pneumonia in my right lung. They found an fungus in my blood. My gallbladder was decreasing. So I'm like, when I say I ended the year in the hospital and I started 2024 in the hospital, the only thing that really gave me some peace was, I had my kids, they would come visit me. And then Craig would just give me a joy, kept a smile on my face, even through the midst of what I was going through. Um, we started being able to kind of really hang out together because what this at this time we was really just on the phone talking, you know. Um, and then when we finally connected, it was just like something I've never experienced, to say the least. Um, he was full of a lot of positivity and love, and he showed that to me. He was the type of person he would text me every day, and he would tell me, "Good morning, beautiful." He would tell me how much he loved me, and we started just getting closer. When I say it was like a love story that you only read about, that's exactly what it was. And the way it was moving, it moved so fast. So we was able to spend maybe 6 months together, and that's all we had. Um, but it was amazing. He would tell me things like, let's learn to love each other again, because we've both been through so many different things in our life. We've been through so many hurts and disappointments, and we just wanted to be loved, wanted to be cared for. It was more about the little things, the simple things in life, and that's what our relationship was. It was like you have a day of chaos, and then you get around someone, and all of a sudden you just have peace, and you're not thinking about anything else that you went through that day. And that's what he gave me. Yeah, we have our issues when, because like, he dealt with depression and anxiety, and sometimes, and we did talk about that stuff too. um he talked about his grief, the loss of his sister and his grandmother, and that was a heavy thing for him. So I listened. And now to be in the position that I'm in, I understand even more. um but I ended up losing him on April 3rd of this year. And it was one of the most devastating things that I've ever had to experience in my life. He was everything I prayed for, just to be honest. It, it was like an opposite. He was the opposite of me in male form, and vice versa. And so when I say we fit together, we connected, we wanted and the same things. We was honestly, it was amazing. And the night before, we were just talking, because I was supposed to go to surgery for my gallbladder, and I gave him my car so that he can go to work, and he was going to come visit me once he got off work that night. We talked about him getting ready to move in, and we talked about what he was going to do for the rest of the week, or what we had plans on doing, and getting counseling and to help with his grief and stuff like that. And the last thing we did, I probably text about 11 o'clock. I told him good night. I love you. And I thanked him for loving me, all of me, and he thanked me back. And he said, no, baby, thank you for loving me and being there for me. And just told me how much he loved me. And we said goodnight. That morning, I woke up about maybe 2:30. I couldn't sleep. And so I was like, I looked at the time and I was like, oh, I can't call him because, he don't, that's around the time he would normally go to sleep. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to call him. So when I finally went to sleep, it was probably about 7 o'clock that morning. I had to be at the hospital by 9, but at about 8:30, 8:25, 8:30, my best friend, his nephew, called me and told me that they found him and that they were on their way over there. And so my instincts was, okay, this is, I couldn't capture it. And so, but I looked at my phone and I was like, well, it says he's online. So I hung up with him. I tried to call him. I tried to message him on Facebook, and I didn't get an answer. And so I called my best friend. She came and picked me up because I didn't have my car since he had it. And when she came and picked me up, I got back on the phone with him and talked to him the whole way going over there. And then when he got the news, I think I screamed a scream that I've never, and my heart just sank. And then we got there, and it was just like, how can this happen? We was just literally talking, and 5 hours later, he was just gone. And it's like, we were that Saturday before everything happened, he had told me, he said, will you marry me? And I looked at him, I was like, what? He's like, will you marry me? And I'm like, I said, baby, I'm not going anywhere. He's like, well, just give me a couple of months. And literally, y'all, it was just a couple of days and he was gone. And I've never felt nothing like that in my life. I've had death happen around me, friends, classmates, people I went to church with, and family members. But this was so devastating that it put me in a place where I've never been. And if people who know me can tell you that I'm a woman of faith, but I lost a lot of my faith for a moment. I was angry with God because I couldn't understand why he would do something so unfair for me to be a servant, for me to be a minister, for me to be there for everybody else. And all I wanted was to be happy and be in love, and for it to be taken away in such a short period of time, it just didn't seem fair. So what was I sacrificing for? What was I keeping myself for? What was I just, I didn't get it. So I was angry with God because I'm like, why would you even save me for me to go through such devastation? For me to have to live with this for the rest of my life in a way that I don't even know how to truly even begin to heal from. It's like this month makes 7 months that he's been gone. So honestly, I'm grieving him more than we had time together. So it's a lot of what would we have been doing, where would we have been going, and it's hard. It's really hard, and it's just been a long process for all of us because every day I feel like he should still be here. So it's I've finally started going back to church. I had talked to one of my apostles, and when I was very angry, and he told me it was okay. God understands. Just be honest with him, let him know. And I did. But he also told me, he's like, with everything that you've been through, all the hell that you've been through in your life, you never lost your praise. I lost my praise. I didn't want to sing. I didn't want to praise. I didn't want to pray. I didn't want to read my word. I didn't want to do anything. And I didn't for months. I did go to church the day after I had that release, the day before his memorial service, because it didn't feel right being so angry with God, but at the same time, I just didn't want to. I didn't want to hear nothing from anybody really dealing about God. Well, God don't make mistakes, and God's got you, and I'm just like, I don't want to hear any of this right now. And so I don't feel the same. I'm not the same person that I used to be. I don't deal with the things that I used to deal with anymore. I'm just like, I feel like I'm more blunt about stuff. I'm more careful about who's around me. I I just don't want to deal with the drama. Like, if you can't take accountability for something, please don't come my way with it. I, then no nonsense is where I'm at now. And if you're not real, then I ain't got time for you. That's just how I feel. And it's like, life is too short. I mean, like, I saw him that night, kissed him and hugged him goodnight. 5 hours later, he was gone. So you never know what the next hour is honestly going to hold. You don't know what time you have left. And the only solace that I find is that he loved me. We we was going to spend the rest of our lives together, and I know he died loving me. He chose me, and there's beauty in that. That for some reason he chose me, and I have to remind myself that now I will love him the rest of my life the way he loved me the rest of his.
All right. I have a question that I want to ask, and it's out of order of the other questions that we're going to discuss. But you made a point when you were talking that I really need to get out, and I want to talk about before we move on to any of my other questions. Now, you stated during while you were telling your story that you lost your praise and that you were angry at God. Do you feel like you lost your praise because you think God gave you something and then took it away?
That, yes, that's why. I just felt like, why would you have me even have something to experience something, and then for it just to be gone just like that? Because This man has been trying to get with me for years. And I feel like it wasn't the time because we was both in different paths of our lives. But for some reason I couldn't allow or open up to allow him to for us to date. But when this last time came along, it was like it was nothing hindering, if that makes sense. So
Absolutely.
I felt like God was like, okay, now. So why open the door now to close it forever?
Yeah. All right, let's go back a little bit. We're going to start at where you began with your mother's health scare. Let's go there and let's talk about your experience of navigating your mom's health scare, her being in the hospital for a brain aneurysm. What emotions were you managing during that time?
Honestly, during that time, I feel like I was just in survival mode right then.
Okay.
It was like, okay, what does she need? What do we? What is going on? What can be done? What I don't think I really had that time to literally process in that time frame because I was constantly going. If I wasn't at the hospital with her, it was taking the kids to school, picking the kids up, going back to the hospital to visiting hours over, then coming back, getting kids ready for school the next day. And I was like, that's all I did.
Okay, now how do you feel like supporting your mom through her surgery affected you both emotionally and physically, especially considering your own health challenges?
I mean, at that time, I wasn't thinking about me
Okay.
at all. It was just like, okay, well, what does she need? What do I have to do? And then, of course, reaching out to everybody to keep everybody updated on what's going on. Um, I wasn't thinking about me at all.
Okay, now did this prompt any changes in how you approach your own health prior to you finding out about you having pneumonia?
Um, so when I was in the hospital and then the doctor asked me what I do for my lupus, I told him, I was like, you know what? Honestly, I haven't been doing anything. I used to take a lot of different supplements, naturals, do a lot of different natural things. And when she went into the hospital, I stopped taking everything. I was just in go mode.
All right, now let's talk about your experience in the hospital with pneumonia. How did that affect you, especially particularly in light of your mom, her recent surgery and all of this happening at the same time? You having to be hospitalized with your issue.
I just honestly, I was just like, okay, I need to get home because she was at my house, and I was like, she needs to be taken care of. I can't take care of her here, and I was just like, I just wanted to get out. I didn't When I was in the hospital, I didn't take it as seriously until uh, it might have been after it was after I got released when I realized exactly how serious my situation was.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. What do you think that it's in you that's making you not think of yourself, but always constantly want to take care of others?
I don't know. I think that's just something that I've always done. Is even from childhood, I've always was there for others more versus myself. As being the older sister,
Uh-huh. Do you feel like it was more of a responsibility or more of something that you wanted to do?
I mean, it's a mixture of both.
Okay.
It's a mixture of both.
Now, what lessons or realizations from yours and your mom's health journey have helped influence how you manage your own illness and recovery right now?
I've had to learn that taking care of me is not a selfish thing. That I matter and I got to put myself first. Because if I am not in a full state then how can I help somebody else? I'm not going to be able to be here for my kids if I keep allowing myself to put myself on the back burner. Um, so I begin to make more time for myself so that I can be here a little bit longer. Because, like I said, with the situation, with everything that happened, tomorrow, we don't know what the rest of the day or tomorrow is going to hold. So I got to take care of me now to make sure I'm okay.
Now, you were still in the hospital when was this was another hospital stay, correct? When you experienced the loss of your boyfriend.
Well, we started talking while I was in the hospital.
Okay, with the bout of pneumonia or after that?
That was all one stay. The
Wow.
blood clot, pneumonia, the fungus, the gallbladder, all that was one stay.
Okay, so this was also why you were still trying to take care of your mom too,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Charmaine. So you're talking about a mom who had a brain aneurysm, you having to face traumatic health conditions, and then the loss of someone you loved and someone that loved you. How did this shift your perspective on healing?
Uh, mm. Well, I stopped for a while. Like when I got out of the hospital, he helped me to kind of get myself back together because he was scared that he was going to lose me.
Hmm.
And so I started back exercising. I started back making sure taking my vitamins, getting my routine back together that I had stopped before my mom went in. And then when he, when he, after I lost him, I stopped again.
Okay. Now let me ask you this. Do you think he would have wanted that?
No, I know he wouldn't have. Um, and I would tell him every day, I'm like, just give me grace so that I can get myself back together, you know.
Hmm.
And I'm still slowly doing that. I mean, I show up to some events at any council things that I do. But I'm literally just now starting to really get back to it.
Yeah. Now, what role has grief played in your journey? Because it seems like it's been a lot. How are you finding ways to honor both the love you share with him and the healing you need to actually move forward?
Um, the main thing is that I'm moving forward. That was my main thing, just to keep moving forward. Don't know what I was doing, but I knew I had to keep moving forward. Um, I journal every day. In the beginning, I journal 3 or 4 times a day. Um, but I do every day. I have the app on my phone that I use for right now to journal everything that I'm thinking or how I'm feeling, and when I want to talk to him, I just pour it all out in my journal, and that helps a lot. I have some very great people in my life
Mhm.
who is okay with allowing me to grieve and not rushing me through the grieving process. And to me, that has been one of the most important parts, because sometimes people are like, I've even seen where people think that it's been enough time. It's time to
Yeah,
move on.
yeah,
No, it's not. If you haven't experienced it, you don't know. Everybody grieves differently. And to to go through a grief that was honestly traumatic and devastating, that wasn't expected, is different than even the grief when you know somebody's dying, because at the end of the day, a piece of you is missing.
yeah. Yeah.
you lose something, you change, and you got to realize it's okay for that. um and then, so having them in my life helps out a lot. um but and knowing the fact that he would want me to keep going and to keep doing is what he loved about me. And so I said, I can't quit doing this stuff. So I just keep pushing myself to keep doing and keep going forward.
Okay. Now, how did these experiences with your illness, playing a support role to your mom, and even the loss change the way you approach relationships? Have you noticed like a shift in how you set boundaries or prioritize your own needs?
Uh, I don't really look at a relationship. Um,
Well, I mean, just your relationship with others. What I mean by that is not.
oh, okay.
See, when we say relationship, we automatically go into intimate relationships. No, but don't forget, we have relationships with our family. We have relationships with our friends. So I'm asking you, how did you set boundaries in your life and prioritize your own needs based on the things that you've recently experienced?
Well, with that, I definitely tell my kids and those that are close in my circle that I love them a lot more. And I try to make time for them more than I used to. I make sure that I don't be around people that pull from me.
Yeah,
And when I say that, it's more like that's all they do is pull, you know, um, that they don't pour back in. And so I try to limit myself about around being people like that. Um, I try to stay away from drama. Um, I just don't have time for that stuff anymore, because life is too short. I'm not going to put more on me that's going to stop me from doing what it is that I need to do, um, or put me in a state, because I take on a lot of things. I'm a very empathetic person, and sometimes, you can get overwhelmed, and it's hard to release some of those thoughts and those feelings that you pick up from everybody else. So I've learned I had to kind of distance myself from them, and that's not a bad thing, um, because now I can focus more on me.
okay,
And by focusing on me, I can better take care of those that are around me. Um, and I can show up in a better state of mind to help those that I'm called to help.
okay. Now, you mentioned your struggles with God and how it took you a while because you were angry with him. Where do you find yourself right now with your faith in God and with your spirituality? How has it sort of guided you at this point, or how have you utilized it at this point?
Um, I slowly started going back to church, um, but recently I went to Holy Convocation in October,
Mhm.
and I felt like God answered a lot of my questions. Every class I went to, He was answering the things that me and my best friend was talking about, and I'm just like, how He just, God is amazing. He really is. But and I know if I ask, He probably would let me know. But I don't. Sometimes I feel like I don't want to really know what happened, how it happened. Um, but where I'm at right now, He's He's healing me, and so I'm just trying to slowly just embrace what He's doing and getting my praise back and getting my prayer life back.
Okay.
Um,
And what steps, other than journaling, are you taking to move forward in life and move through this process?
Um, what do you mean specifically?
Like, are there any other exercises or anything else that you're doing? I know that you're working to get your praise back, you're working to get your prayer life back, but you spoke a lot about journaling. Are there any other techniques or apparatuses or different ways that you're going about life to work on healing and building your strength throughout all of this?
Well, I'm back listening to music because
Okay.
I stopped listening to music for a while too. Um, but certain songs, I love listening to the words
Hmm.
and songs. The words and songs minister to me, and so honestly, sometimes during the day while I'm in my office working, I will have those songs and I would just listen to them throughout the day to kind of get myself back on track and let them just minister to my spirit. Um, I take more time out just to think about my thoughts and just relax, not always feel like I'm on the go and so busy and just constantly moving for no apparent reason. Um, I'm being intentional about what I do, where I spend my time, and it's made a lot of difference.
Okay. All right. Well, this is actually my last question for you. For those who are balancing the weight of multiple challenges like health conditions, being a support role, or even loss, what advice can you give about finding strength even when life demands don't allow for much rest?
Um, I would say you have to make the time. Schedule the time if you have to. Make an appointment with yourself because you have to be a priority. Though we have a lot of roles that we uh, have to deal with, or a lot of titles that we carry, we still got to make sure that our number one priority, which is us, is taken care of in order to provide the needs of anyone else. Um, because if you burn out, then there's nobody there for them. And then on top of that, if you burn out, who's going to take care of you? You have to put yourself first. Um, Journaling, meditating. I love walking. I'm getting ready to start back doing that. Exercising. Um, and if even if you don't know it or not, a healthy diet does help out a lot. Um, Sometimes when we get stressed, we just don't care. We just like, okay, I'm on the go. I just need this to go. But take the time out and enjoy the life that we have because we only have one and we don't know where that or when that is going to be. So I would always say take care of yourself first.
Well, Charmaine, I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for sharing your story and your journey with us. And I'm glad to hear that you are prioritizing yourself and your health. Your experience is a beautiful reminder that grieving is a deeply personal process and that there's no right way to go through it. By embracing your grief and actually honoring your own needs, you're paving the path for others to see that healing is possible even in the face of such a profound loss. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us again.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Now, you guys, if you've experienced anything like Charmaine talked about today, whether it's childhood trauma, being a support for someone else, loss, medical challenges, or even intergenerational pain, know that you're not alone and your story matters. Reach out, share with us, and let's continue the journey of healing together. I hope Charmaine's story and her journey sort of inspire you to protect your peace, lean on your support, put yourself first and take care of yourself and love yourself no matter what. Remember that healing is a journey and not a destination. Thank you for joining us again. And you guys, We'll see you next time. You've just witnessed one person's journey from trauma to healing, a testament to strength, resilience, and the power of hope. In each story lies a reminder: healing is personal, often difficult, but possible. As we continue through turning your trauma into your testimony, the healing journey, may each story offer a path, a perspective, or even just a moment of connection for your own journey. Thank you for being part of this healing journey.